Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Broadway Jets YouTube channel. You'll know me from Twitter or X as NYJ Mike. I'm joined as always by the master of receipts, NYJ Matt. And Matt, we've got a lot going on. We've got Hard Knocks. We have Dalvin Cook signing with the New York Jets. Things are looking up for the Jets, man. Feels good.
And we have a new template. We're learning how to use StreamYard, which is a lot easier than using Zoom and looks a lot better.
It
But
does.
where do you want to begin? We can start with Hard Knocks because we've gone through episode 2, and it's like a 9.8 out of 10. The content is so goddamn good, and I know you're a little late to it because you're out all night drinking with your clients, and then you text me in the morning. And you're like, I'm trying to catch up on everything. So have you seen episode 2 yet? And what are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, listen, I'm all caught up.
Good.
It's like an Aaron Rodgers PR tour, So you hear all the rumors. Rodgers is this, Rodgers is that. In the specific episodes, you'll see the players. I think Laken Tomlinson in the first episode is like, "Whatever you heard about Rodgers on TV, it's not true." And he's just cool as and calm and collected, and he's talking with Becton, and he's giving Zach Wilson tips, and he's throwing missiles, and Ed Sheeran is playing in the background, and it's very, very, very exciting and fun.
He's been perfect. And you said it before, you almost want him to do like one minor thing wrong so we get it out of the way because everything he's done has been fantastic. The the first episode I thought was really good. And the second episode I thought was fantastic. And the rookie show is the only dud. But the Salah speech, which we'll get into the WFA and thing in a minute, it was exactly what you wanted to hear. You can have a Hall of Fame quarterback. You can have two $10 million wide receivers. You can have a great running back room. And I love how he didn't mention the tight ends because they cut to CJ Uzama. He's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, you can call it the tight end group. And then the O-line is what it comes down to, right? So that was like his keynote speech that Rex had, go get a goddamn sack. I thought it was a great episode.
Yeah, no, look, and it's great to see Salah with the fire. And he's a fiery guy, but he's also calm, cool, and collected at the same time. He's a leader of men. He's got 48 children. He knows how to lead a family and a group. I thought it was interesting that the Jets are going to go out and say basically, "Hey, our offensive line is not exactly in the place that we want it to be," especially if they're in the market to maybe trade for another offensive lineman. The one thing where maybe they lose a tiny bit of leverage in that situation, which is fine. But the other teams know, they could see what's happening in practice and what's happening around the league, and obviously the Jets might be in the market for that. But man, like the energy and just such a likable team. So remember all these years, Joe Douglas was drafting all these guys who are college captains of their team, blah blah blah. It adds up when you have a locker room full of guys who are not assholes, and they're all coming together and building camaraderie. And this is the most what's the word, synergetic Jets team that we've seen in a long time by far. Because remember, we would go through the last couple of years, like, who's the longest tenured Jet? It's like Thomas Hennessy for 2 years. You're like, all right, like, that's kind of sad.
They're clicking well. You can see it. And I love when the Rodgers like have lunch with someone new every day, get to know someone else. And it's
He's
like, you think of Rodgers in Green Bay, like he had the same 3 friends, like Randall Cobb, Bakhtiari, and now he's like friends with like the backup center. It's great. And the offensive line is something we can transition to because it is a obvious concern. I think there is that bit of, okay, there are 3 starters out, potentially 4. That's not what the first team offensive line with Becton being a backup right now.
Yeah.
Like, I have a vision for what I think they're going to do. And tell me if I'm wrong. I think Dwayne Brown, left tackle, week 1 starter, almost a lock. I think Laken Tomlinson, locked to be the starting left guard. Tippmann played there today. Tomlinson had a day-to-day. He's fine. I think they go with McGovern. We want, fans want Tippmann. I think they're probably going to go with the veteran week 1 under the lights against Buffalo. I don't think that's the game that you're going to see Tippmann be a starter, but would it surprise me if in week 5 Tippmann's behind center if McGovern struggles? Probably not.
To your point, real quick, think about last year. Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall were not starting week 1, and there were more high profile rookies than Tippmann. So yeah, I agree.
Yep. And then right guard, a lot of traffic about AVT at right tackle. Very possible. I think he can be right guard. And then right tackle, I think they're going to give it to Billy Turner or Max Mitchell. And that's why I think they're going to go out week 1. I think starting this week, Becton should be getting reps at right tackle. You build that knee up, build that confidence up. And if he's ready by week 1, great. I don't think they're going to do that week 1. I think what we'll see is probably Becton be the starting right tackle in week 3 or 4. And that would be, I think that is the best 5 you could put out there if you go with Brown, Tomlinson, McGovern / Tippmann, give Rodgers his choice, and then AVT Becton.
No, I agree with you, and I think most Jet fans, you'll see the same sentiment. It's what everybody wants is Brown, Tomlinson, McGovern or Tippmann, AVT Becton, and you hear one Brown or Becton can't play right tackle. I don't understand that at all. Just fucking play right tackle. It's the same shit. That's like an uneducated football take. That's like if I was a doctor and I'm like, oh, like your fucking head's messed up. Like it's not a scientific term. Just play right tackle. The guy's like barely in the NFL at this point, Mekhi Becton. Go play right tackle. Figure it out. We'll have a monstrous run blocking.
I think he wants to play right tackle. I think his
I'm not saying
concern
Becton
is
doesn't want
yeah,
to.
okay.
The coaching staff, like someone figure it out and put the dude at right tackle. If Billy Turner's a turnstile, and you have Max Mitchell, who like could be terrific, and we don't know. I'm not watching practice every day, and I'm not hating on Mitchell or Billy Turner, but clearly, like today's practice was a disaster with the Bucks. Of course, Connor Hughes is going to tweet, and we love Connor Hughes. He's a little bit hyper. I love Connor Hughes, but as a beat writer, he's a little bit hyperbolic, So, and he's never going to watch this, even though we'll put in the tag of the video, Connor Hughes' newest scandal. We're going to break through it. We use his name as clickbait because he's a friend of the program.
Yep.
But that's my thing. Put the best. Saleh keeps saying it. We want to use the best 5 offensive linemen. So your left tackle, you have 2 left tackles that can't play right tackle. That doesn't make sense to me. Fine. Today's practice doesn't kill me. Like you said, 3 guys were out and Becton. So there was no AVT, no Lakin, no Becton.
Can I go back to Connor Hughes for a moment?
Yeah.
Like one quick moment.
Yeah.
The fact that he tweeted at me 2 weeks ago that I paid for Twitter, and then 2 weeks go by and he buys a blue check mark. How does that happen? Like journalism is dead. Connor News, fake news. I can't believe it.
Can't believe it. Can't happen.
So I learned how to make that thing at the bottom. Connor Hughes canceled. I don't know if you can see that question mark.
Yeah, I see it though.
All right,
but back to Tippmann.
Yeah,
I'm glad that the Jets played Tippmann at guard today. Where I agree with you. I don't think he's going to start week 1, which is fine, but it's good because we can do all these mock offensive lines all off season where we're like, oh, if we worst case scenario, some guys get hurt or the Jets want to move things around. If they want to play AVT at a tackle, you could play McGovern or Tippmann at guard. To see them do it in practice against another team, the Bucks, is good. I'm happy with that.
And if you have a guy like Tippmann and AVT that can play 9 different spots in total, because Tippmann was a tackle in high school, moved to a potential guard tackle at Wisconsin, moved to center. And my favorite Tippmann stat ever is if he would have went to the NFL Combine, he would have had like 30-something reps. It would have been the 5th most in the history of the NFL Combine if he took from his pro day to Indianapolis. So he's a monster, 6'6", a strong dude, and now he's a staple in the offensive line.
And that's the thing with him and Becton. If him and Becton are playing, where as opposed Mitchell seems to be relatively undersized for a tackle, if you're playing Tippmann and Becton in your starting 5 offensive linemen, the Jets should maul people in the run game. Maul. Dwayne Brown's a big dude. Lakin graded out well in the run game in San Fran. We just talked about Tippmann and Becton, and AVT is an all-pro type of guy. That's a very, very good line. And again, even in general, that's a very, very good offensive line. There's a lot of ifs. And that's where you have guys like Billy Turner and Max Mitchell and Schweitzer to be the backup dudes, where, if these guys are starting for you, it seems a little janky. But that's why I would say to the Jet fans, relax a little bit, because hopefully we'll get our real 5 sooner than later. Like you said, even if it's not week 1. And then again, think about last year. Like, think about the Bengals game and the Ravens game. Like, what the fuck was even going on in those games? And in football, everything is of course each game is extremely important when you're playing 17 games, but teams take a few weeks to get going, and hopefully when the Jets are making their push, which we want it to be earlier than later, and they get everything gelling, we'll see those five guys that you mentioned before.
That's the goal. And then a new guy added to the offense, Dalvin Cook. And even the contract details, like if he's not active on the 46 for a given Sunday, lose like half a mil. Like Mike, I always tell you, and my opinion is like to win a Super Bowl, you have 11 on offense, 11 on defense, have like 5 to 6 studs, 2 to 3 really good guys, and you can have like a blemish 1 or 2 spots. Dalvin Cook is just another dude to add in there to an already stacked, I'll say stacked offensive weapon group. And you
Yeah.
add Dalvin Cook, Mike, it is the perfect signing. And again, is it a must have? No, if there's an offensive tackle there for 9 million, I'd rather go there. They're not there. So fuck it. You save all this money. You restructure Rodgers' contract. You don't want to go in the next offseason with 25 million. I'll let you go on that take because that's your favorite call out in terms of like carrying over cap that we don't understand. I love the move. Mike, what are your thoughts on Dalvin Cook?
It made so much sense. So Zeke signs for 6 million with the Patriots. A couple hours later, the Jets signed Dalvin Cook for 2.5 million more.
Yep.
He was a more productive player last year by far. Again, the dude was sixth in the league in rushing. It's not like he was 22nd like Ezekiel Elliott, He's averaging healthy over 4.5 yards a carry. He played all 17 games. So you have the guy who was sixth in the league in rushing, and you have the guy who probably would have been the offensive rookie of the year in Breece Hall as your backfield. Of course, Breece is coming off the injury. You're not going to give Breece 20 carries a game to start. Look at what the Packers did with Nathaniel Hackett and Matt LaFleur. They had Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, who essentially split the carries, which is fine. Both guys will have around 200 carries if they stay healthy. It is a no-brainer. Like you said, Aaron Rodgers restructured his contract for this reason. It's like you got Aaron Rodgers plus Dalvin Cook for Aaron Rodgers, right? Where, with poor Nanny is catching strays on the bottom.
I don't know how that got there. No, you're right. It's a great ad, and Bam Knight is the guy, the odd man out. I don't think unless they can trade Michael Carter.
Michael Carter's been very much more mature in handling this process than he was last year when the Jets even traded for James Robinson.
And he said that himself. He said, "Look, I don't think I would have handled it this well last year." And I really believe it's a testament to a guy like Aaron Rodgers coming into the facility and changing everything. Like right now, if Aaron Rodgers isn't here and Zach Wilson's our quarterback in year 3 and declined throughout 2022, is Dalvin Cook coming here? Obviously not. Is Michael Carter getting annoyed if a running back is getting more? Probably. Like things
Dalvin
change.
Cook's in Miami, if that 100%.
Yeah, and it's a good signing, and I think we can probably transition. Any last minute take on Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, well, the thing you brought up, the Jets had 25 million in cap space in 2023 before they signed Cook. So now, even though it never seems to work out like this, I'm assuming they have $17 million left. You want to have flexibility. If someone becomes available during the season, you want to make a move. A Mike Evans, a Devontae Adams, these are pipe dreams. A David Bakhtiari, pipe dreams. I don't know why the Packers would trade their stud left tackle when they have a young quarterback they're trying to develop. So it felt like the Jets were one playmaker on offense away, and maybe a receiver could have been a better fit in the offseason when you could get rid of Corey Davis and use that money to get another receiver, another veteran guy. I'm happy with the receiving core with this move. Now you have another stud. You have another Breece. If Breece, God forbid, gets injured, you have insane insurance. So I still think the Jets are a linebacker and it may be an offensive lineman away. If the real 5 offensive line play and can have health, you're not an offensive lineman away. I'm very happy with that being the line.
If that offensive line on paper, I would argue it's a 12 to 14 maybe
Right,
even
and
like
that's the weakness of our team. Like,
yeah,
give me a
and
fucking
that's
break, right?
exactly,
Middle
exactly.
linebacker scares me because you have Mosley, who's terrific and all pro, but he's, getting older. If you think about the defense, you have all these fucking maniac pass rushers, and what a performance against the Panthers. Will McDonald is spinning like he's the Tasmanian devil. You have Jermaine Johnson is throwing people around like they're toothpicks and posting pictures. He's 6'4" with 260 with a six pack. These are our backup guys. I know there was some weird news about Lawson today with some back issues, but let's assume for now that Lawson is okay. Jermaine Johnson's probably on steroids. Quinnen, all these guys, and then you have these crazy corners, right? So you have the pass rush, you have the corners. I made a remark on Twitter where look at the sack exchange years. You had this terrific pass rush, but not the best cornerback play. The
Yeah,
Rex Ryan defenses, you had Rivas and Cromartie, but not a good um, pass rush with four guys.
the
Now you have
banger
both these
tweet.
things. I just don't want to have fucking every single play is like an 8-yard pass over the middle to the tight end or the running back. So linebacker scares me a little bit.
I'm just happy Quincy Williams is gonna decapitate dudes for another year. Like he just murdered. And again, I get there's some blemishes in the Quincy Williams pass protection game. He just runs around the field with his hair on fire and knocks people out. So I can go for the occasional 8-yard pass over the middle. I just can't go for a screenplay going for 12 to 15 yards every
I think
play.
we're gonna get the Jets did not know how to defend screen passes last year, and I don't think it's gonna get better this year. I think the defensive linemen are even more like possessed men, and they're just gonna try to kill everyone. And if I was in another team, I'd just run a screen pass every single time.
I'm gonna clip this because that is a genuine concern. And look, I don't know how this is going in terms of the layout. It is 1,000 times better than our Zoom video. That was the worst thing ever.
Awful,
But Mike, what is happening with WFAN?
dude. Well, start us up because it's like these Brandon Tierney videos. I'm gonna blow my head off.
So I grew up listening to the fan, not like religiously, but they're on the radio, sports talk before podcast. And Francesa, love him, hate him. He was a little bit
Sports
entertaining,
Pope. Yeah.
would go back at callers, was ridiculous to the point that he actually believed what he was saying. Like he is a genuine narcissist,
He's
and it's still entertaining to watch.
hilarious. He's like a cult leader. Yeah.
I think Boomer and Geo are really good.
I
I
agree. I
Geo
love Boomer.
Geo has grown on me a lot. I think Boomer's really good. Carton and Roberts, we're Sonny Carton guys. Craig, love him, hate him. You
I
watch.
think Evan Roberts is a good fan too, by the
Evan's
way.
a great fan. Evan's
I'm
a
pro
really
Evan
good
Roberts.
fan.
Yeah.
And
He's a
I'm
good
not
Net
a
fan, great Net fan.
I'm not the biggest Joe Benigno guy. I've been saying it. I don't like his
The
I,
woe is me bullshit.
I'm
Fucking
not a fan of it. And that's fine. People love him. He has a cult following, but the new lineup that they're putting out, like Tierney, Sal, and our guy Sean Marash, who's been kind of back and forth with me on Twitter. It doesn't feel genuine. It feels a little bit fake. It feels like we're gonna say the wrong thing or the contrary thing to get people to talk about it. And that's fine to get impressions on Twitter. Is that the best strategy for your content? I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. It doesn't seem real at all. And it starts with episode 1. The big takeaway was Salah wasn't the head coach and it was too much of Rodgers. I mean, if it was the opposite way, they're going to say Rodgers being too passive. Is he all in? Why is he not talking enough? And then I tweeted out that the headline today is going to be Rodgers is too alpha. And that's exactly what they did. They were saying Salah was too alpha. His meetings, he's cursing too much. Is this really how we're going to do sports talk radio in 2023? Is it always going to be the most ridiculous thing? Because they want to get viewers, but Mike, I don't think it's the right way.
you're 100% right, and it's very frustrating because when you do something, you want to perfect a process that makes you good at what you do, and to your point, is WFAN's process just saying random nonsense and just getting people to be like, "This is fucking stupid," and we're gonna click on the article because after a certain point, it's just ridiculous. And I put a lot this. I've been thinking about this point for a while now,
Cook.
and I've been waiting to unveil my take about what being a fan is. I think when if you're a football fan, part of the real grace and the fun of it is that you root for this team, and you convince yourself, or you look at what you're working with and you're like, these are the reasons why I think our team is going to be great or going to be good or we're going to make the playoffs or whatever.
Mhm.
And then you go through the season and you just want those things to happen the way that you thought they were going to happen. Even if it doesn't work out well in the beginning, you stick with it. So, it's like we think the Jets are going to have a good pass rush and Rodgers going to throw for this many yards and blah, 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 blah. And XYZ, all the stuff that we've been talking about. And when the season happens, we'll stick by our guns and be like, this is why we think the team is going to be good. You know, this is why we enjoy this team. We like the personalities. We like X, Y, and Z. WFAN is just spewing nonsense. Like, what's their plan? Like, what is it just to flip flop back and forth each day? Is it the Sean Marash guy saying that X, Y, and Z is the most disrespectful play ever? Meanwhile, he's a Giants fan and Jamal Adams is literally ripping the ball out of Daniel Jones' hands. You tweeted at him. Like, is there a process in mind? Because these guys, what you are if you're a WFAN sports radio host is you're like a super fan who is giving your opinion out to all these people. And I don't think they understand what being a fan is. They're just spewing bullshit.
Now, I I think we should talk about Sean Marash because I personally think he's probably the most genuine out of all of them. He's a diehard Giant fan. That's his take. If I was on the radio being a diehard Jet fan, I think I'd be pretty critical of the good, the bad, but also of the Giants as well. But his take around Salah's story being fake and that he found the video online about like the crow. We're 10 days after that episode. We're still talking about an analogy about birds. And he's like, no, I got him there. It's a difficult question that, like, my guy, I get it. I think he's trying to kind of build that following and be a little over the top. I don't really care too much about his shtick. The Tierney and Sal, I really just it bugs me to my core because they say they're not. I don't think it's authentic. I think that Sean Mraz actually believes the stuff he's saying, even though I think it's ridiculous. I don't think for a second Brandon Tierney is upset and think that Robert Saleh is acting in front of that room. If he does, good for him. It is hearing him upsets me to my core.
No, right.
It's so insane.
Completely agree. And that's the point. Like, even though we disagree with Joe Beningo about stuff, like he's a diehard Jet fan and just believes the things that he believes for, even though we disagree with the way he goes about doing it, the woe is me, whatever. He loves the Jets. I think he wants them to win. I know he does, even though he probably gets a little bit too happy when they lose and he's miserable and he could complain about it. Evan Roberts, like these guys, that's my point. They were great Jet fans. They were real fans of sports. That's how they started doing it. They were just fans calling in the middle of the night, Beningo, and then became the host. These new guys, it's like, I just don't.
I think they feel like they have to do it because what if they go in there and be like, "Oh, Hard Knocks was great. Like the Jets are gonna be fucking good. Like this is so cool. Like, can you do 4 or 5 hours on it?" I think we could. I don't. I think they're like we need to be edgy and do something different so that we can get talked about in August. I think Tierney has like a thing to travel to games. He's a Jet fan, but every time I hear him talk, it feels 180 one day, it feels the opposite the next. It doesn't feel genuine and authentic at all. I can't. The fans are tough. The fans tough right now, but you know it's not tough. This new template that we built, it's pretty good.
Oh, dude.
I'm pretty happy about it.
I
made it in like 2 minutes. I don't know what I did. I don't even know if we're recording right now.
It says live. There's a duck. Oh no, that's above. It's the StreamYard logo.
All right. Anything before we wrap up? We'll get better at this, but I think we covered a lot of topics in one. I'm going to the game Saturday.
You're an asshole. I didn't go to practice because you didn't go.
You should have went to practice.
No, I'm just kidding. That's not.
I feel bad.
I didn't feel like going.
You should have went.
You go by myself. Ugh. But
well, Tommy is going to the game Saturday.
Tommy's going to the game. That is true. Our buddy Tommy.
I think I'm gonna. What percent odds do you think I can meet Aaron Rodgers? I'm gonna go
22%.
I think like what if I just in my Rodgers jersey stand by the tunnel? Like he has.
I think there's like high odds. No, that's high odds for you to meet a random person in a stadium of 50,000 people. There's not gonna be probably that many people there, but
Are you being
yeah,
sarcastic? I can't tell.
I'm not. I think 22% is high odds
That I
chance.
get Aaron Rodgers' autograph and say hi to him.
I'm like expecting it to happen, but realistically, like statistically, probably won't. But you have a plan. Like most other people aren't planning to do that.
I think
Maybe you should get like a small child. Can you? Does anybody have a small child? Could we kidnap one just for the day? Because that would help. You
I
know?
think I'm gonna have a sign that says Rodgers for president, and then
Yeah.
have it like taped and have a backup sign behind it. And if I'm sitting in the 100s at a preseason game, I want the camera to cut to me with the Rodgers for president and then drop it. And behind it, it says Gase to prison. So like they wouldn't put that on screen, but they see my sign and then I
They're
quickly
like,
drop and it's that GIF would
yeah.
be immortalized if I can get that. I'm talking a big game. I don't think anything is going to happen. I might not even go to the game, but this is my plan right now.
Is there a way we could like entrap him?
I would love to get on the field. I don't think I have that type of
We know people. We got
what
some fucking connects.
like I have negative sources.
We
Negative.
don't have sources, but we have some connections at this point.
I
Hit up
don't think
Seth Bradley, the One Jets Drive guy. He likes us.
he I I would feel so weird being like, "Hey, can I get on the field?" Because I think people on the field are supposed to be like, "Hey, like act like you've been there." If I get in the field, it's gonna be a problem. I'm gonna like run up to like Thomas Morris to be like, I need an autograph. Like I don't
Yeah,
think
dude.
I don't think I could. I don't think it makes sense. I haven't been on Twitter in a half hour. I wonder what insane thing
What
happened.
transpired? It's very
I'm probably
exciting.
getting DM'd by Sean Mraz, probably mad at me about something. He did
Dude,
not DM me for the record, but I was expecting. I would love for him to come on too. I think I would very much ask him what is the direction of your program.
yeah. I feel better about having guests on now with our new format.
I don't even know how to do. I don't know how to make a third. Like Mike, there's a million templates I'm looking at here. I don't know what. I have no idea what to do,
Oh,
and it's
dude, put
very.
tell people to subscribe with the thing. Do the thing with the nice. Did you do that really fast? You have that ready?
I had it ready because you can make. Dude, this is gonna be so much better and easier.
Yeah.
I'm very happy, and we can do an episode after every game.
Yeah.
Fuck,
Dude,
this can be fun.
feeling good.
All right, we good?
Look,
Hopefully it worked. If it didn't
it
work,
worked. It worked. We'll just do it word for word again. Just remember the Jets are just loaded.
oh, one last
It's
thing
yeah.
that bothered me, and I didn't bring it up during the fan. Like one caller calls in and says we're going to win 14 games, and they go on a 10-minute rampage about how Jets fans are unrealistic, and they generalize one caller over the entire population. Like, is that their ceiling? I could argue, yeah, their over under is probably 9.5, 10. And if all things click and go right, would it surprise you if they're 12, 13 wins with 2 weeks? Like, it could happen. They have a tough schedule, but
This team could literally win 14 games. Teams
that was
can win 14 games. It happens.
that's when the whole thing happened because Sean Marash's like minute clip, it was like it started with Jets fans need to be realistic, and then it was do you think Salah's the guy, and then a second later it was you guys have seen this before. It's like no, we haven't. We have not
When
seen
did we see this?
it. Doesn't. It was like the worst minute.
What have we seen?
But again, I like him more than Brandon Tierney.
Brandon Tierney has a nice voice and he's an asshole. Fuck
All right.
him. I'm sick of his bullshit. Can we
All
not
right.
have fun? We're gonna win 14. We're gonna win 12 games. Tie every record. Rodgers gonna break every record. It's just like those. That's what's supposed to happen. That's not us being unrealistic. That is not 14 games. The Rodgers breaking all the records. We have a sick defense. We have most publications have the Jets as the one or two defense in football. What are teams gonna do against these waves of pass rushers? There's 10 guys. The Jets are 10 deep on defensive line. We have two of the top 10 cornerbacks in almost every publication's list. Michael Carter is objectively one of the best slot corners in the league. And you have an all-pro middle linebacker, and you're a little bit weak other than that, and at safety. And if the offensive line plays a lot of games, the Jets are going to win at least 11 to 12 games.
You said it.
It's just a fact.
I can't wait for week 1. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
God damn it.